LNG TV, the official media channel partner for Gastech 2021.
And it's great to be joined here at the Glenfarne stand with the co-founder and CEO, Brendan Duval. Welcome.
Oh, well, thanks for having me.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. So, diving straight in, tell us a little bit more about Glenfarne and why you're here at Gastech today.
Well, Glenfarne, we're an integrated energy developer and a promoter of power and gas projects. We started 10 years ago with one employee. Now we're 550. We've got a couple of gigawatts of power plants, 13 million tons of approved LNG export capacity, 5,000 miles of pipeline, 13 gas plants. And so that energy chain for us across the energy transition spectrum, that's Glenfarne, and we're here to go more public with our LNG strategy here at Gastech.
So speaking of which, so you have two projects. You have Texas LNG and you have Magnolia LNG. What specifically about LNG is interesting for your business?
Well, for us, we buy LNG. So we buy LNG for our plants in Latin America, and particularly Colombia. And so we understood the importance of low-cost supply of politically stable LNG. So we think providing LNG into high-growth emerging economies is really a great way for us to build more projects, but help those economies. In particular, help them wean off from coal or oil to ultimately renewables, and the bridge to provide stability in the grid is LNG. So we got involved in Texas LNG as a controlling shareholder 2 years ago. We became the 100% owner of Magnolia a year ago, and that gives us a good portfolio, 12.8 million tons. That's enough to power 13 gigawatts of power plants globally. So that gives us a good footprint.
Fantastic. So specifically around Magnolia LNG, it's a project that is relatively mature. It's been in the market a while. What was it particularly about the project that excited you? And what do you think you can maybe do differently to previous owners to get it over the line?
We're developers and we're buyers of LNG. So we think our perspective on getting that project into operations is a little different. Firstly, as a developer, the rule in development is never run out of money. So the struggle with some of the standalone greenfield projects is they were constantly trying to raise money as they were getting to the end of the cash in their bank accounts. Being an established company with multiple assets around the world, we don't have to worry about the running out of money part. And secondly, given we're a buyer of LNG and we understand the demand side, I think we can position that asset into the market very differently, including supporting our own demand side projects. So if we can justify building it on our own without third-party offtake, that gives those who are coming in for the third-party offtake confident we're going to go to close. And when everyone knows you're going to go to close, everything comes together.
And in terms of the marketing of LNG, it's been an interesting time for the gas and LNG markets globally over the last couple of years. Clearly, there was a lot less activity, specifically over the pandemic. Is it your view that long-term marketing is back and customers are interested? And if so, does that accelerate, hopefully, the timeline for an FID on Magnolia LNG?
Texas LNG is going FID 12 months from now, and Magnolia will be roughly 6 months behind that, so 2023 FID for Magnolia. The reason we're doing it in that order is 4 million tons for Texas LNG is a very bite-sized amount of LNG to place. We could consume it with our own projects. So our objective is to go to FID on that and then to Magnolia. And we are seeing demand for long-term offtake. But we'll go to FID on Texas LNG independent of the long-term offtake because we've got enough demand for our own project. And as long-term clients come along, we'll support them with Texas LNG and we'll shift our internal demand to train one for Magnolia.
I think everyone here at Gastech is very complimentary and very supportive of the role in gas in the energy transition. You actually have a portfolio of companies in the renewable space, I believe, as well. How do you think gas particularly complements that portfolio?
Well, gas is super important. As the renewable penetration grows, and particularly in a high-growth emerging economy where we're focused, Latin America and Asia, if the renewables build out too fast and they don't have grid stability around them, when the sun goes down in a dry year or a dry season, you have blackouts. And then the market, the economy backlashes against renewables for the wrong reasons. So you need to have clean, low carbon gas to fill in the blanks when the sun's gone down, the wind's not blowing as much, and provide industry stable energy supply. And a high growth economy can afford more renewables, and so you have a virtuous cycle. The key is to never have blackouts, and if you don't have grid stability powered by gas, you run the risk of blackouts.
Absolutely. Brendan, if I can ask more of a sort of a leadership question, running such an interesting and diverse portfolio of companies, how is it that you're able to juggle so successfully the management, all of their different needs and all of their different stages within a development cycle?
Well, the one thing is we dare our team to be great, right? And we reinforce to them that getting the world's grids to lower carbon production every year is a calling. It's an important thing to do. An interesting point is during the pandemic, when we were worried that some of our employees could contract COVID, and that may mean that the plants have to go into shutdown, we encouraged our employees to take it very seriously because they were providing national significant service to keep the power plants up and running. So a lot of it is reinforcing that what you're doing as a developer or an owner or an operator, particularly in the energy industry, you're keeping the country up and running. And while maybe you're not a doctor or a nurse, you're doing your contribution to keeping the economy moving. And that's a big way we motivate our people.
Absolutely. And one final question. The ESG conversation is never far from anyone's lips this week. Coming from an investment background and really understanding the dynamics required to successfully facilitate the development of projects such as you have in your portfolio, what are the key things that have changed from a financing perspective, and how are you looking to address those?
So ESG is across everything we do. It's important just for good business. It's important for attracting the best employees. All debt now and all lenders and all investors want to know you've got an ESG plan. So everything we do, it's taking into account our communities, because if you don't partner with the community, you don't have a project. And then you have to have your carbon plan, a 2050 plan. We're working on ours. So all of it now has just become part of good business. And so to be a better businessman, I'd say 20, 30 years ago, ESG was less of a component that you had to demonstrate to your stakeholders. Now it's demonstrating you're a good businessman. And so everyone that comes on board to the platform, we don't think of ESG as a special program. We think of it as good business.
Brendan, thank you very much for joining us today on LNG TV. We wish you, Glenfarne, and all of your projects every success.